research at ESET have found at least 12 new families of OpenSSH backdoor malware.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hello.
I hear you have a very interesting article about the force.
Yes, so the article was actually from ESET Research, and they named it The Dark Side of the Force. I'm going to say it's a play on words on force, but the main reason they did that is because it's about OpenSSH backdoors in Linux systems. And in this case, they actually were able to identify about 21 families total from all their samples, and they name each family by one of the names from Star Wars planets. So that is why I guess the theme of Star Wars was used in the article. So the interesting thing about this was that out of the 21 families that they found, about half of them they couldn't find anything about anywhere. So they're brand new OpenSSH backdoor families. The researchers were able to find out that they were missing these malware families because another malware had signatures for it. So they realized, wait, we've never seen these before. It must mean that they exist. It must mean that they know that they're being used in the wild. So let's try to find them. So that kind of led them to this path of, wait, the attackers have insight on other OpenSSH backdoor families that we do not. So that's why at the end they ended up with about 12 that they had not found anywhere. They were not discovered anywhere. They have now published what is rules, antivirus rules, so that you can put them into your system and then check for them. If you're interested, and I think probably a lot of the security providers are already implementing them. I assume if they're in a
it's a big 0 day.
Well, the interesting thing is that most of them do what an OpenSSH backdoor does, right? They get installed, and then they're trying to grab credentials from people that are using the OpenSSH clients. They're trying to exfiltrate those credentials. Some of them are more actually a lot smarter than others. Some use encryption. Some try to hide their credentials into system paths so that it looks like it's a system file. So like they explore all of that in the paper. I would definitely recommend someone interested in learning about each different family to go look at it.
I was really amazed at how much research had gone in by the authors of that article and that white paper.
They made some very key discoveries. They uncovered numerous new malware families nobody knew about before. Anybody who is interested in like malware analysis and tearing apart multiple different malware families and figuring out how to compare them, this is a great paper because it gives you some ideas. They figured out, like, you might wonder if you're a malware researcher, how did they come up with highly sophisticated or not sophisticated at all? So to me, that's interesting. It's one of the things that, and they have like a whole chart and like that figured out, this feature means it's sophisticated and this feature it's not. There's also C2. Some of these are true backdoors.
Yes.
So a true backdoor, right? You type in a special password.
Yep.
So they actually list the passwords. So it'd be interesting to see, like, what are the passwords that work, or how maybe some of them were selected. You'll see some passwords are like super long, and some passwords are pretty short. Those shorter ones, they might indicate like how the adversary is thinking, and maybe gives you some ideas about who they are. There's some stuff with like RSA keys, which is like on the more insane side. Some of the stuff was like beaconing, so a lot of great research.
Yeah, some of the
is there some idea that these were all done by the same group?
No.
Or is this, so they have no idea?
No,
they
so
just kind of, go ahead.
Yeah, they got like a large sample, and then they start figuring out what code looks similar, and that's how they kind of started pinpointing the families, right? Because a lot of it was actually different, but they would only maybe change the password, like Sam was saying, for like their remote, to be able to enter it remotely, or they would change like maybe a couple lines of code, like maybe someone sent an update, I don't know. But so like they tried to make sure that when they said a family, it was a family. Like most of the code was unique. And in that case, I mean, there's no way to know if it was the same group or not, right? Because there's no similarities really. All I can say is try to prevent it ahead of time. Protect, make sure the root is not open out on the internet for your SSH. Don't use passwords in SSH outside either or ever if you can. And just try to use public private key.
Is it fair to say, may the force be with you?
Yes. Thank you, Stan. That is definitely appropriate.
You should always be thinking as if an adversary is successfully defeating your different protections and setting up layers of defense so that if one becomes compromised, you still have the others to rely on. Defense in depth, layered security.